Welcome to episode number 45 of the BEBC Podcast. 1 week away, fellas. But wait a minute, number 45. When we think of 45 as it relates to the Allen Eagles, who was that, Thad?
Stone Drulman.
Stone Drulman.
Send out the stretcher.
Oh my God.
Biggest faker in the world.
How many times did he fake news an injury? Then again, how many times did he actually get hurt?
Well, he was a tough dude.
Wrestler.
He played with a club.
Yeah, he did.
Had cast on.
Yep.
Not many kids have done that. He was a tough little son of a gun on that line.
The position coach at the time was Ty Henderson. Ty said that by far Stone had the best hands he had ever, as far as getting his hands on his blocker and getting them off. And and that a lot of that is his wrestling background.
Yeah, that's true.
Went to OU on wrestling.
Yes, he did. And then he got hurt.
Broke his back.
Yeah, fine.
They had to send a stretcher out for that one.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it back off.
Couldn't stand up.
Well, and maybe we're playing Plano East over at Kimbrough, and he goes down, and it's like time. They start to bring the stretcher out on the field, and who was it? It was like Levi or one of the other guys was talking to one of the other kids and said, "Hey, watch this. As soon as that stretcher gets out on the field, you're going to see a miracle." And sure enough, the stretcher's out on the field. All of a sudden, he's up. It's a miracle. He's good. He's okay.
I mean, he had to come out for one play because of the stuff. But he was back in.
Well, Stone, happy 45th anniversary to you on our 45th podcast, and Godspeed wherever you're at and what you're doing. So thanks for the memories. So 1 week away, fellas. One week away.
Can't wait.
Actually, less than a week now because it's Saturday. So
1 week away from lunch and a game.
lunch. Yeah, we got a busy week, but we are honored today. This is 2 podcasts in a row. We've had like high quality guests, and I don't know how
Superior quality.
we're able to do that, but we are. But we're honored today to have with us the executive director of the Tom Landry Classic, Mr. Kris Cumnock's with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys. I'm not sure about the quality part of the guest, but
No doubt about it.
But I am here.
Dude, we are glad you're
happy
here.
to be here.
We've got a game to discuss and a season. We're gonna talk actually a little bit about the season and our expectations as the 2019 football season for the Allen Eagles kicks off next Friday night in the Tom Landry Classic. And for those of you who are watching this, we actually have the trophy right here on the table. Kris was gracious enough to bring it. It actually says Tom Landry Classic game winner, Cedar Hill versus Allen, Friday, August 30th, 2019. We just told him he could leave it here.
Courtesy of the Balding Eagles. That's on the very bottom.
We'll take care of it for him.
Taped on the bottom.
We've got a case over here we can put it in, and it'll be fine. But thanks for bringing that. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
And Allen has a man those.
They do.
And I guess they need They need to build a bigger trophy case, don't they?
Yeah.
They're kind of running out of room over
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crowded.
They're putting them up in the windows and everything else
We
up
just
there.
got this little place in the stadium for some trophies.
It's all the state.
I know.
Oh, that's right. I forgot there's a little bit of space there. We got plenty of room here. We could just put it right over there.
Just give us some of
We
the
build
older
a
ones.
bookshelf.
Yeah, we'll take the old hardware.
Well, it's a good problem to have when you run out of room for trophies.
Yeah.
It is.
That's a good
is.
problem.
Well, you're here because we want you to talk about the Landry, and you're the executive director, and you've been with this thing since day one. And so I'd like to just start there. We'll get to talking about the game and the matchup first, but I want you to go back and just kind of give us a history of how the Landry Classic originated and your involvement and,
Sure.
and what you've seen over this 20 years, right?
20 years.
This is the
Wow.
20th
Yeah.
year.
Oh my
so-
gosh.
Yeah.
20 years.
And I know Alan's been involved in a lot of those, and which has been fun for us, and not so much fun for people who they play. But just kick it off and how this thing get started, and where did it germinate from?
Well, so our company is owned by Roger Staubach, so I've done a lot with Coach Landry over the years. And when he passed away, growing up here in Dallas, those were my two idols, Roger Staubach and Tom Landry. And so when he passed away, really had a big impact on me. And I was sitting on my couch on a Sunday watching a game and had a legal pad and just kind of started sketching out. So I want to do something that honors Coach Landry. And so my thought was, let me do a high school football classic where we can raise some scholarship money in his name. So, back then when we set it up, that first 2 years, it was a triple header. And the first year, we had 3 games in one day, which was really insane. That was
Wow.
That's the dumbest thing maybe I've ever done. But we did it. And then the next year we went to a Friday game and 2 Saturdays, which was better. And so we did. My goal was to raise $10,000 in scholarships in Coach Landry's name, and we more than doubled that. And so I thought, let's do it. Let me do it 2 more years. And raise some more scholarship money in Coach Landry's name. We moved it over to SMU because they asked if we could have it there, and we did that. And then now we're going on 20 years with it. And the funny thing is when I first started, when you put this thing together, first thing you have to do is you have to get 6 teams that want to play in it.
Right.
And I probably made 12, 14 calls, and the coaches would say, well, who else is playing in it? And I said, well, nobody yet, but... And they'd say, well, why don't you get back with me in a couple of years when you get this thing started? And it's like, so I really, there were a couple of times where I just thought, we're not going to be able to do this. And so I played high school football with Todd Graham, who was the head coach at Allen at the time. So I called Todd, and I said, hey, Todd, I'd like for you to play in this Tom Landry Classic. And he said, well, who else is in it? I'm like, nobody is in it, Todd. Nobody's in it. I need somebody to be in it so I can say there's somebody in it. And I just need you to take a leap of faith. It'll be good. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. I'm like, you want to do it? Yeah. All right. So then you start making calls. Then I called North Mesquite, and I said, they said, oh, who's in it? Well, Allen's in it. You play Allen. Okay. Well, and then, so it kind of snowballs from there. Now we get phone calls every year from people saying, hey, can we get in? But it didn't, certainly that wasn't that way from the start.
Right.
And, like I said, the whole goal of this thing was to raise scholarship dollars. So what we do is, you pay the expenses. You pay to rent the stadium. You pay the teams. You pay to do some advertising. And then all the other money goes to scholarships. And so all the kids that participate in the game are eligible. So you're a student manager, a student trainer, a football player, band member, drill team, cheer. You're the mascot. I've even had kids that say, well, I write for the school paper. I write the story on the game. Can I be a part of it? Sure. I had a young lady a few years ago. She said, I do the camera on the field at Eagle Stadium for the video board. Mm-hmm. Can I apply? And yeah, you're a part of the game. So it's really morphed into, a lot more kids are eligible. The 3 things that we look at is, are you a leader on your campus? Academically, are you doing the best you can do? So we're not looking for every kid to be a straight A student, but if the best you can do is a B+, then we want you doing that. We want you to be a B+ student. And then the third thing is community service. And so those are the 3 criteria. And as we sit today, we're a little over 1.1 million. So we've come a long way from that, wanting to raise 10,000 for it. And the Landry family is really supportive. They love the fact that we're keeping Coach Landry's name alive. We're letting kids today who they weren't like me, they didn't get to grow up with them. We're able to pass along the fact that he was a great football coach. You could argue he's one of the best in NFL history, but he was a better man off the field and did so many good things in the community. And so I'm really proud of where this has gone. It's been an honor for me to do anything with Coach Landry's name on it, because like I said, I grew up and he was my hero. So anyway, here we are. I certainly didn't think I would be doing this 20 years later, and we've already got 20 and 21 scheduled. We just got that finalized last week, so we're going to be doing at least 22 years. So my wife's heard me say probably 16 times, saying, this is it. This is the last one. And
you keep going.
And we keep going.
That's good. Well, you obviously enjoy it, and again, raising scholarship money for kids is an awesome thing to do, because we all know, several of us know, with kids in college, it's not cheap.
Right.
Anywhere, no matter where you go, and anything you could do to help them is great.
And the promotion, like the criteria you were talking about, promoting leadership, community service, and those things, that just anything that anybody else besides the parent can do to help instill that in our young people in our community. I think it's always a good thing. So, like they say, it takes a community a village to raise a child. So all those things that, they say, hey, if I want to be a part of that, it's not just my involvement on the team, but what I can do off the field,
Absolutely.
so.
Which is what we need our kids to do more of.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
As opposed to just doing the one thing they're doing. So you talked a little bit about scheduling, and you said now you have people calling you. Is it really that easy now to get people to be in it? Because I know Allen and Cedar Hill is the Friday night game, and then Lovejoy's playing
Colleyville Heritage.
Colleyville, that's a good matchup on
The first
Saturday.
year, first year Colleyville's been in it.
Yes. So it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Allen and Mesquite Horn year 2, and Frisco Heritage and Lovejoy year 2. And last year Mesquite Horn, I knew they were uber talented. They really were. And I thought, okay, they'll be able to come in and compete year 1. They'll lose a lot of those kids. Year 2 will be a little rough, but year 1 they'll be able to come in here and compete. And even their coaches said, hey, we just wet the bed. We got over there in Eagle Stadium, and it was like they weren't ready for that. And so I talked to their coaches afterwards. I said, okay, look, it was 40-0. You're losing all these kids. Allen's still going to be Allen. If you want out, and I've never kicked anybody out, but I said, if you want me to flip a game and you want to go play somebody else, let me know. And they said, it might not be a bad idea. So I was able to get that game changed. And then Frisco Heritage and look, my kids, my daughter went to Centennial, my son went to Independence. I live in Frisco, and so this is not to rip anybody, but
It's okay. We can do that on this podcast.
Uninterested school I have ever been associated with in terms of caring about a high school football game.
Huh.
It was literally, getting anybody from that school to come out and support the game was like worse than squeezing blood out of a turnip. And it is like, kidding me?
Plano West is worse than that.
But so
Not to name names.
So I asked them afterwards. I said, "Look, I'm not. You don't have to leave this thing. But if you want to, because I'm still going to expect you guys to support the game and support your kids.
Sure.
And if I don't want to do that, then we can go a different direction." And so we mutually agreed that maybe that would be best. So we're able to get Colleyville Heritage in. But so to answer your question, we get a lot of calls coming in now, which is nice. Scheduling is because you're asking people to come here and play Allen, and in most years play them 2 years in a row. That's not a fun phone call to make because I get silence on the other end of the phone. Coach say, "You mean to play Allen at Allen twice?"
Twice, yeah.
And they're like, "No, they were not doing." And I'm always surprised when I get people. When I get it scheduled, I'm like, wow, I did good. It's more difficult to do that. The Saturday game, you get a lot of people that, hey, we want to be in it.
Right.
We want to get in. The Friday night game's a challenge, and like I said, so and then I go schedule a game this week 2 to give Allen a home, a real home game every year. And that's not easy either because, again, you're asking somebody to come here and play Allen twice. Well, nobody likes playing Allen even one time, and that's when they're willing to go to their stadium and you flip the games. Asking them to come here is so you really have to get somebody who is a coach that's like, look, I'll play anybody anytime. Week 1, we want to find out where we're at. We'll do it, and there's a lot of coaches out there that are not that way.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go lose a week 1 game, or I don't want to play Allen. That's that's an advantage for them. It's a challenge. This year for the next 2 years, it's been the biggest challenge that I've faced in the 20 years to get games scheduled. I probably made 12, 15 phone calls, and
Wow.
oddly enough, so nobody knows this yet. Nobody knows the schedule yet. So I'll break it here.
There we go.
So
breaking news.
It was going to be Humble Atascocita against Allen. Really
that would've been
strong,
good.
Yeah.
strong team.
Right.
Eagles.
Eagles.
Eagles versus Eagles.
Blue, red, blue, white,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
We're trying to sell them our A. We're trying.
I heard-
Yeah, we're trying to work out a deal where they take that thing.
That big thing, yeah.
Alito
The
doesn't
big
have the right
inflatable
colors,
we're trying to
you
get
know.
rid of. Yeah.
So they said yes. We'll do it. Now I didn't sleep well because it's you're bringing in a team from Houston, or Houston area.
Right.
So one of the things the more filled that stadium is, the more scholarships you can give away. That's the whole goal. So now you're like, how many people are going to come with them? Second thing is, and I've had this happen before, but they have a hurricane down there, or tropical depression down there, then that could also impede their ability to come up here and play. So you start to, you're like, I don't know. Well, so last Saturday night, my daughter and my wife went to a play, and I'm just sitting at home. I was watching the Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game again because Roll Tide, right?
Yeah, Roll Tide.
I was only watching the second half though.
Yeah.
But so I get a text from John Walsh at Denton Gyre. He says, "Hey, can we play? Can we play out?"
What?
I'm like, what?
After what he said?
And I said, "Well, and so I texted him back. I said, "Well, you're playing Alito week 1." He said, "I can move it. I want back in the Landry Classic." So I called him. I'm like, "You want to do this?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, we're going to have maybe the number 1 quarterback in the state as a senior next year. And he said, and I got another D1 kid right behind him. And, they got the best player from Capel just transferred in there, Liggins. And, he'll be there 2 more years. And I mean, they're pretty loaded for the next couple of years. And so I told him, I said, well, let me look at it. And I said, I've already got kind of a handshake deal with Atascocita. Let me see if I can move it. Because, Guy will bring people over,
Sure.
and that'll be a good game from a talent standpoint. So I called Craig Stump at Atascocita and I said, hey, here's the deal. And then asked them if they had week 2 open. I said, I still need to bring in a team for week 2. And so tentatively, they're going to come week 2. Guy will come over here week 1.
Okay.
So I'm really, really comfortable with that. That's going to be a good matchup. Guy, he's pretty loaded, and they know what they're doing over there. So that's going to be.
He wants his revenge,
Yeah.
he wants it bad.
Well, especially after his quote was,
Nothing to do
get
with
Allen
his-
out of my way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting that he would.
I think
So-
he just wants to show off his new haircut.
Did he get a new one? Who knows
I
what
don't
he's
know.
for?
I don't
He
think
might-
so.
He might be going the Mike Gundy way.
Careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
good.
that'll
That's
be a
good.
good one. And then Saturday night it's going to have kind of a Denton flavor. We got Denton Ryan playing Tyler John Tyler, which would be a really
Oh,
good.
wow.
That'll be a really good
That's
matchup.
great.
Ryan's got
So-
a really good.
Yeah.
Really good. The last 5 years. I
Yeah,
think.
that's
Good,
really
good,
really-
good program.
Yeah.
So that may be the 2 strongest games. I mean, that we've had in certainly a long time. So really, really happy with that. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
always good just to get the Allen games scheduled because
Sure.
there's just not a lot of people who are willing to do it. And I've had a lot of respect over the years. Cedar Hill's been willing to do it. And, when Joey McGuire was over there, he was always like, I don't care who we're playing. We like the Landry Classic. You just tell me when and where we need to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Great attitude.
And Carlos Lynn's been the same way. He's like, hey, we love being in it. We'll go play Allen. Hoover was the interesting one because they called us and said, hey, we want to come and play. And
we saw that Kyler graduated last year. We want to play now.
Exactly.
And I'd seen the MTV thing on Hoover,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, Hoover.
Yeah.
But I told him though, I said, I really appreciate it, but I try to stay in Texas. We need people to come and fill the stadium. I said, we'll bring a lot of people. But I said, no, I really appreciate it. But thanks. I'm honored that you guys called.
Sure.
Well, then I get an email from the athletic director right after that, and she said, we've won 11 state championships, and she just gives me bullet points. This. We got Bo Jackson's nephew. We got this kid. We got this kid. We'll bring people. We want to be in it. And I said, really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Goodbye.
And so then she texted me. She said, it'll cost us to bring the band, cheerleaders, and football team. It'll cost us close to $100,000. And I know you'll offset that sum, I would think, but we're willing to raise all that money and come. And I'm like, these people don't give up. And so I didn't even respond. I didn't do anything. I'm still looking for a team to play Allen. Well, every day I've got emails coming in, and they're calling me. I'm like, good grief. So I call them back. I said, all right, I'll do this on a 1-year deal. I'm not doing it 2 years in a row. And they said, well, we're not doing it 2 years in a row either. We got to seriously. We have put the pen to the paper. We're going to have to raise $100,000 to do this. So we're not doing it 2 years in a row either. So then I'm like, okay, what do I do year 2? So I knew Cedar Hill would do it. So I called them, and they said, hey, we'll do it. We'll come over there and play year 2. This is 2 years ago. And they said, but you got to get us a game in week 1. Well, that's when they played. They brought in Gorman.
Yeah.
They came in and played them.
Yeah.
And so I set that game up. But Gorman wanted.
That's week 2, right?
What's that?
Didn't they want to play us week 2? Gorman?
Yeah, they wanted to. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they always say that, and then when you get close to setting the game up, something comes up. They're famous for that, and so is De La Salle.
Wow.
'Cause I've talked to both of them, and they're like, "Oh, you won't play Allen." They
We're
hadn't
not
seen a
scared
team like
anyway.
us.
Yeah.
And then you get closer to it. Well, you're gonna have to. They start throwing out all these things they know you can't do, and it's like, okay, you really don't want to come in here and play Allen.
Yeah, just say you don't want to come. Yeah.
But Gorman wanted $25,000 to come in. I'm like, I can't do that. Well, then I get a call from. It's kind of worked wonders here. ESPN called and said, hey, we're interested in putting the Landry Classic on TV. I'm like, yeah, I never do that because we need to fill the stadium to provide the scholarships. And you guys don't pay us enough to put it on TV. And they said, well, we'll pay for a team to come in. I'm like, would you pay for a team to come in to play Cedar Hill? I'm like, yeah. And they said, we got Bishop Gorman wanting to come in and play. So they paid for Gorman to come in and play Cedar Hill that first year. So it all worked out. And, the interesting thing is, and this is a tribute to the Allen community. So when they flew their team in. They chartered a jet. In fact, it was a former Alabama player who has a jet that they chartered to fly the team in. But the band and cheerleaders and drill team, they all came on buses. So when the band got here, like 11:30 at night, when they got to the hotel, the escadrille was there to welcome them to the hotel, which blew them away. And then they asked them, hey, come do pregame stuff with us in our band hall. We'll eat together and we'll walk over to the stadium together. So the Monday after the Landry Classic, I got a call from the superintendent there in Hoover. And he said, coming cost us, we're going to wind up paying about $103,000 and on that trip. And he said, and we do it again tomorrow, and we do it the next day and the day after that. He said, that's that's the best thing our community's ever done. He said, I have heard nothing but rave reviews from every parent, every kid, every administrator that was there. And he said, we were sitting over there and the sun's going down, and he said, we were all just like, this is the best thing we've ever done. And he said, it was just incredible. He said, we would have liked to have come in there and won the game. But he said, what an incredible stadium. The fans were welcoming to us. It's a tough environment to play in, but he said, you ever need us to come back? He said, you just text me, and he said, the answer will be yes, and you just tell us when.
Oh, wow.
And so that was I'm glad they were as persistent as they were, because that wound up being a really fun experience, and but a credit to the Allen community for welcoming them in and making them.
Yeah, but after that first drive, when they came straight down the field and was blowing our doors off, we weren't thinking very kindly of you. We're about to get our first loss in this stadium. But, things changed. But that was a great experience.
That makes us proud of the community.
Yeah,
absolutely. No doubt.
Absolutely.
And I think in the future, if we keep this going, and why not? I think we'll do another. I won't bring Hoover in again because probably not. But I'll bring somebody else like that. I don't think I'm gonna bring in the team from California or New Jersey. That doesn't make sense because they're bringing nobody with them. But if a Jinx Oklahoma, which I've tried,
or Union
or Broken Arrow.
How about Katie? Can we get Katie up there?
Well, and I've tried that too. and Katie's like, yeah, we'll do it. But they got to come down here the next year. I'm like, that's not the deal. You got to come here 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Katie Tompkins will do it. They're really good. I'm like, I know, but
But it's not Katy.
It's not the same.
Yeah, the amount of money you could raise if Katy came here.
There's no doubt.
They'd have to go
No.
grab some of those temporary bleachers from the old
It'd
stadium.
be another
Yeah.
South Lake.
Send them up in the end zone.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome. It
So-
would. And if that game ever happens, I will say this.
Yeah.
If that game ever happens, that will break the state record for attendance, depending where it's played.
Well, and that's we were
Yeah.
hoping we
Yeah.
were hoping for them
Yeah.
to beat Lake Travis.
Yeah.
Right.
So we could have a Katy Allen.
But yeah, I understand they're not want to come back 2 years in a row, especially here. You know, it'd be different if Allen was a 500 team every year.
Right.
Yeah, it'd totally be different. But yeah, I get that. But that would be a great matchup. To
What
be
about
able to
any
see.
Northeast teams or Central teams like Massillon or some of the
Yeah,
New Jersey?
that's a place where we can go. Certainly those
Ohio,
teams up there in Ohio.
Massillon, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody like that. And then there are a couple teams in New Jersey that really want to come down here.
John
bad.
Bosco and
Yeah, Bosco, and then there's it's another private school that I can't remember the name. I mean, he's called me 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I just don't know, from a travel standpoint.
And just don't give up. Hoover.
I mean,
you still got.
well, maybe. I mean,
This
maybe.
phone
never know.
number hasn't
You never
changed.
know. You never know. I mean, it's.
No, we enjoy that too because it's the Texas versus out of state, which is always cool.
Sure.
On a one-off deal, you don't want to do it all
Yeah.
the time. You don't
Yeah.
want that to be your whole schedule. But that's neat, and like you say, the experience. I mean, we interacted with those Hoover people. I mean, we tailgate all the time. and
Yeah,
so
we always
invite
go
them
over and drive over there and talk
Yeah.
to them and
And,
everything.
so
they're good people.
yeah, and it's neat to have somebody you don't see very. Like the Dickinson game. I'm excited about Dickinson
Yeah.
this year because
Sure.
We don't know anything about them.
Different.
I don't know if Allen's ever played Dickinson. I have to go back and look, but I don't think they have.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the Gators coming in, It's like cool, a different mascot.
Cool,
even,
cool uniforms.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you've done a great job with this classic. And again, it's about raising money, so you have to look at it from that point of view when you're talking about scheduling because you say, and I don't know how many fans Hoover brought, but they brought probably more than I thought they were going to bring. And the fact that they brought their band, which was big, it was a big band, and you look at that side of the stadium and you're not like, ugh, you're not like I say, Plano West being over there where there's nobody.
Six
And they're
families.
Yeah,
10
that's
miles
embarrassing.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just embarrassing.
So that's cool that you're able to draw that type of, I'll just call it, talented football teams and they want to come. And that
Right.
It's pretty cool. It's cool for us as fans.
Well, I think through the years, if you would call, I've always told coaches and athletic directors or superintendents this, if you need a couple days to think about it and you want to call some other athletic directors that have been in this or head coaches and just, I'm telling you what we'll do for you, but call them and ask them. And I'm always proud for them to call whoever, because I think we've done it right.
Yeah.
And there's a new classic that pops up every year. I mean, there are people, and they're people that want to get in and make a buck off high school football, which I think is wrong. But they don't last very long because they don't know what they're doing and they don't take care of the right things. And I think if you're doing the right things, you're trying to set up good games, but you're trying to help kids and you tell coaches, hey, I'm going to do this for you, or booster clubs, I'm going to do this for you, and then you do it. But a lot of these classics will come in and say, we're gonna provide luxury buses for you, and then and they get closer to the game and the money's not coming in. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to be able to do buses. And I hear these things all the time. And teams like, hey, we were guaranteed $10,000, and they gave us $2,000 because they didn't make as much money at the gate as they thought they would. We've never done it that way. And I've always told people there's a certain standard to doing this. And if we don't do it to that standard, then we're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's a lot like this. It's what I always talk about. I love the Allen Eagles program in the school because there's a standard here. I mean, there really is. There's a standard for excellence. You walk in the indoor and it says champions, district and state. I mean, that's their standard. And in the school, I mean, academically and there's a standard here, and I love that because at most high schools, that's kind of gone by the wayside today. And the community support. Plano used to get a tremendous amount of community support. And Highland Park too. They could go on the road and they'd have a bigger crowd, and it's not that way anymore. I mean, they've let it go. Now you go to a game at Highlander and it's packed, but Highland Park plays 20 miles away, and we're not going to that game. And you know, Allen has something really special here, and you know, Katy has it. South Lake had it, and they gave it up. They lost it, and I don't know if they'll ever get it back. You know, it used to be the Dragon Nation, boy, wherever they played. And, you know, you can go to home games over there, and they've got, you know, empty seats, a lot of them on the home side, and they've just gotten complacent, and it hasn't happened here. And I spoke to at the football banquet last year, and I told people, you know, don't let that happen here. Don't get so bored with winning that it's just you take it for granted, and it's like, yeah, we don't have to go until the playoffs. And, you know, that's what a lot of those teams have done. It hasn't been done here, and I love that. I love that about this community, and you know, you hate to say it, and I don't do anything to help Allen win games, but I'm an Allen Eagle fan. I am. I know people get mad at me when I post things about, you know, Cedar Hill's coming here with a really good team. People get mad at me about, you know, why are you supporting Cedar Hill? I'm like, well, I'm not. Just trying to
speaking the truth. Yeah,
you get in trouble for that
sometimes. Yeah,
you know, and then I get people saying, well, you said Horn was going to be good last year. I'm like,
and they were supposed to be.
Yeah, they were.
And they ended up.
And they were at the end of the year.
I mean,
yeah, they made a nice run.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but you talk about a stadium having an impact on a team. They came in here and they were not ready for this.
Well, I think when East came in to play us that one year, and then also when Hoover came in, they all came in and they just had their cameras and they were taking pictures all around and just like, you know, pointing and looking at this. It was pretty
Utah
wild.
East?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Hoover came in, so they flew in. They got in a day before, and they got right off the plane, and they wanted to come do a walk through the stadium on Thursday night. So I met them out here, and so they went into the visitors' locker room over there, dropped their stuff. And I'm standing on the field as they're coming out the tunnel, and they're like, and this one kid says, we got to get one of these.
Instead of playing on that baseball field they have over there.
Yeah, the Met. They play at the Met over there. But those kids are blown away. And everybody is. I mean, why not? I mean, it's the best stadium in the country.
You have to be. It's crazy.
And, you know, our company also sells the corporate partnerships at the stadium over there. And you know, people that, you know, even companies that I would say, well, come on over and let me do a walk through the stadium with you. I mean, you take companies in there and like, what? This is a high school stadium? And, you know, I gave a guy a tour a few weeks ago. This is the CEO, and he said, I played Division II college football. And he said, our stadium was nothing like this. He said, this is ridiculous.
I went to Abilene Christian, so I know that D2 football.
Shotwell
is and I know they've got a new one out there now, but Shotwell was there for a long time. So.
Well, now sponsorship-wise, so for the stadium, do we have Chick-fil-A as a sponsor?
You do.
Okay.
Chick-fil-A and Dickies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a discussion with RBI, the owners of Popeye's Chicken, and see if like we can get something. Right now, I mean, you know, no pressure. But
right.
Skittles.
Right.
Skittles.
Yeah.
I thought cockfighting was illegal in Texas.
Yeah, they banned Skittles at the stadium
because
they banned Skittles at the stadium because of the covering. You know, for the problems they had with the you know what's and.
Right. Can't say that word.
In the floor, yeah, we don't say that word. But so they don't sell Skittles at the stadium anymore. So.
Wow, yeah, I'm a Skittles fan.
I'm a
I gotta
Skittles
tell you,
fan.
There are a lot of illegal Skittles that are brought
It'll be
in.
okay.
Smuggling Skittles in.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank God that we're not being searched at the gate. You know,
right.
But,
Skittles check.
Well, I had a question, and it was a good one, and it just went right through my brain. Well, I had two. One first. What are the dollar amount of scholarships that you're going to be able to give out this year? Or does that?
It's really dependent. Yeah, it depends on the gate.
Yeah,
it really depends on the gate.
Average.
Yeah, the average.
You know,
what do y'all give out? How many? And
we'll typically give out 18, 20, 22 scholarships, somewhere in there, and then they range anywhere from 1,500 to 4,000. We've given some 5,000 before, and you know, just a lot of. I get people, and you know, people are so uninformed about a lot of things today. But, you know, when you've had Allen in it as much as we've had Allen in it in Highland Park. So I had a guy, and I've had this before, but I had a guy a few weeks ago. We were talking to him about a corporate partnership with the Landry Classic starting next year. And we're getting into the scholarship aspect of it. And he's like, yeah, it rings a little hollow to me giving scholarships to kids at Allen and Highland Park. He said, they don't need scholarships. I said, do you have kids in college? Because I have 2 in college. I said, I don't care where you live or how it's expensive.
Yep.
And I said, but that's not even the issue. If if that kid in Allen has worked their tail off and been a great leader in the school and done well academically, and they volunteer in their community, well, they've earned that scholarship. I don't care if their parents can pay for it or not. This is more about the kid, and we give scholarships. We stay in touch with these kids after. We help them with internships. We do things like that. So this scholarship program is it's not just about where we're giving the scholarships out, but I get to see the backstories when kids write the essays, and I get to find out. And we had a kid when Longview played in it a couple years ago. So single mom raising a daughter, and so the mom was diagnosed in February prior to the Landry Classic in August with brain cancer. And so when the kids are selected for the scholarship to be scholarship recipients, they get to bring 2 family members and the teacher that's most influenced them. So we honor those teachers as well. All right, so I didn't want to reach out to the mom because I knew what she was dealing with. So I reached out to the counselor at school and I said, I don't know what to do here. I know she's a single mom, but I highly doubt at this stage if she's able to come to the banquet. Can you help me here? I'd like for her to have 2 family members there, but I know her mom probably can't be one of them. She said, let me find out. The counselor called back. She said, talked to the mom yesterday. She's going to come. Pretty weak. She's going to come, and they've got somebody that can help her, and she'll have an IV and or she, some medicine she's got to take. It may not look, it's going to look like she's ill, but she wants to be there, and she came. And then she passed away like a month later, I think. And so that the company that gave that girl, because our corporate partners get to present the scholarships at the banquet, the company wound up, I told them the backstory on it, and they wound up helping that girl much more in college. But there's so many stories like that, and kids here in Atlanta. Dad lost his job, they're struggling. Having to move out of their house and things like that. So there's a lot of great backstories, and in our program, I used to put this letter in there. So when we give a scholarship out, we'll reach out to kids and say, tell me how you're doing. Give me an update on how you're doing now. And kids will usually email back and say, I'm in year 3. So in the second year of the Landry Classic, I got a call from one of the coaches in it, one of the coaches from one of the Mesquite schools, and he said, hey, I got a kid that you need to give a scholarship to. I said, okay, have him apply. And he says, yeah, he said, that's the thing. He said, you're going to get the scholarship application. It's going to go in the no pile. And I'm like, okay, then why do I want? He said, look, you just got to trust me on this. This is the kid that you're looking to help, and he needs it, and I'm just asking you to do this for me. Send in the scholarship. He said, I'm going to have him apply, but he said, just don't look too hard at that. He said, this kid needs it, and it'll benefit him. Well, he was right. The scholarship application finally came in like a day before it was due. And I'm like, but I did it. I took a leap of faith. I knew that coach really well. Took a leap of faith, so I'm going to do it. So we give that kid a scholarship and the whole deal. And I've reached out to him for several years saying, hey, how are you doing? Well, I just thought maybe he dropped out of college or something. I'm like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. Well, one day I get a letter from this kid. And it basically the letter saying, hey, I apologize. I've been really busy with school. And he said, my story is, he said, I never knew my dad. And he said, my mom was a drug addict when I was growing up. There was always a lot of strange people at our apartment. And I worked so I could get out of there. And I came home, I would stay out past work. I would just go and, anywhere I could go so I didn't have to go home. And he said, but the night of the Landry banquet is, my mom stayed sober that day. And he said, this still gets to me. He said, it's the first time my mom ever said, I love you to me, and I'm proud of you. And he said, that never happened to me. But he said, it had such an impact on me. He said, I know my coach talked you into this. And he said, because I know I couldn't have gotten it without that. But he said, I kept the letter that you sent me saying I'm getting the scholarship on my mirror at school. And he said, I've never missed a class, and I won't miss a class. He said, because you guys took a chance on me, so I owe this to you. I'm really doing well. And, well, the kid went on to, he's a graphic freelance artist, and he works for Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies doing some graphic freelance stuff. And he's really done well for himself. Lives in Memphis now. And I tried to tell people that we're talking to about being a corporate partner with this event. I'm like, that's the best thing I could tell you about this event. The football games are the football games and all that. That is the best illustration of what we're trying to do. And I mean, that's a neat moment for me. And
Absolutely, that's great.
Yeah.
So sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, absolutely.
That's why you're
what
here.
it's all
Those
about.
are the stories that most people don't get to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
You know,
that's
it
what
makes a
separates the Tom Landry Classic from any
others.
other. Is because that would be what he would expect.
Absolutely.
He took his hat off up there.
You know.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
Tipped his hat.
yeah.
You know.
Hopefully so.
I remembered the one other thing I was thinking of, and I'm glad Thad's back in here too, because we, as a group, we still talk about this, and we did, I think, last week at breakfast, just out of the blue, was your speech to the student section last year when you gave them the award for the best student section, and your comment about, thank God you're not in Plano or something like that. That was awesome, dude.
That was worth an extra donation from us.
I know.
My wife walked out there with me, and she said, we're walking out there, and she said, you know what you're going to say? I said, I have no idea. I didn't think I was presenting that. I had it put together, but I thought that somebody from Allen was going to, or we were just going to give it to the student section.
Yeah.
And then before the game, they said, we want you to come out and present it. And so I'm busy in the first half up there with our board members and corporate partners, and then I'm like, 3 minutes till halftime, we got to go down and do this. And so I ran into a guy in the elevator on the way down, and he was talking. I needed that time to kind of think about what I was going to say. Well, he was talking to us and kind of walked down to where he could to the field with us, and then so my wife said, "You got to come up with something." I said, "I know." And so and I threw out the Plano thing, and then immediately I'm like, well, I'll never get them to be in this classic. I've probably blown any Plano team ever being in this thing. I mean, we had Plano West years ago, but that's probably never happening again, but it's okay.
That was awesome. David's wife is a Plano graduate, and she turned to you and
She went,
Yeah. She's probably not a fan of me. I get that.
No,
she's fine.
It was awesome.
She's great.
That was worth the price of admission right there. So, anyhow, game is 7 o'clock Friday night. If you don't have tickets are still available. Again, portion of the proceeds does go to fund these scholarships that we've been talking about. And it's going to be a very entertaining game. I guess we can get into that now, unless you anything else more to say. But feel free. I know you've done a lot of research on this game. Seen your post on Facebook and that about it. But you've got Cedar Hill, who was 9-1 in the regular season last year, and unexpectedly lost in the first round of the playoffs, which nobody saw coming. An upset with several returning starters and a lot of talented athletes, which they always seem to have. Coming into Allen, and you've got a very, very young Allen team, although especially at the skill positions, very talented. But there's some question marks, I think, for the first time in many years. I think if you read anything, and I've got Dave Campbell's Texas Football here, reading it, and then the morning news. In fact, this morning the morning news has their top 20 6A teams this year. There's some questions that will need to be answered pretty quickly. Allen, again, you set up this schedule. You've got Cedar Hill, Dickinson, and Coppell right out of the gate. So your non-district schedule's pretty stiff for Allen this year. You're breaking in a lot of newbies, so it'll be interesting to see, how this game rolls. And so we're just going to talk for a minute about keys to the game, what we think will be, key to winning, and for both teams actually, and we'll just go from there.
Well, you mentioned one of the things, which is losing in the first round. We've got a little history
Yeah.
as far as losing in the first round when there's lots of expectations.
Yeah.
That was an amazing motivator for the kids the next year.
Sure.
Going to state eventually. But for Cedar Hill, I'm sure that's got to be one of those additional things that's going to feed them, along with the talent. You said they're organized.
Is this year 2 or year 3 of their new coach?
This will be 3.
This will be year 3.
Well,
Okay.
I watched the highlights of their spring game on YouTube.
Cedar Hill?
Yes.
Okay.
And the guy that was interviewing all the players, he was asking them, well, how do you feel? You got Allen first game, and they're all, yeah, that's going to be big. That's what we want, because they went out prematurely in the playoffs, so now they got that fire burning in their belly, and it motivated their off season and things of that nature, what they're talking about in their interviews, and but that guy was trying to hype into what do you think about and it's in they're 17 years old, they got to think this, and it's going to be our first chance to retribution or whatever from going out, so they're I think they're going to come in ready to go, and we'll see. I think the key matchup, though, is we lose all 5 starting offensive linemen, and how long will it take for that group to gel? Mm-hmm. Mike Carter does what he does, but what year was it? I think it was 2011. I guess that was the year after Cedric left. We didn't have the best offensive line. I think Tajon was here and anchored the center, but we had basically all new line, and it takes a while. We haven't had that problem in a while. It's always been some carryover from the year before that's there, but this year, clean slate.
Well, Donovan Ford left and went to California, so he was the one returning starter. So you're young, and there's a lot of talent there, I think, but it's young. And
and the offensive line is definitely it's a unit. Yeah. And so how long will it take for for them to get into lockstep? It might be a couple of games.
Well, I think it's good that we're playing a team like Cedar Hill to start with. I mean, that'll give them a good read on where they're at.
Right.
And they're going to have to come together as a group of kids and be team players and lift each other up and play hard. So I think it'll be a great test. See where they come from.
So, what are your thoughts about the Cedar Hill defensive line? I mean, that's the test. So.
Yeah. So their ends are they're 6'3" and a half, 230 kids that can really run and get up the field. Their nose tackle is he's a 620-pound squat guy. He's 6 foot, 280, and can really anchor in there. And then they've got another big kid next to him at the other defensive tackle spot. So they're going to pose a good challenge right away. Yeah. And so you're going to come out of this game, I think, with a good idea. Because I don't know that they're not going to play anybody in district that will have a defensive line this good. So if you can come out of next Friday night feeling good about your offensive line, I think that bodes really well for the rest of the season. Because if you can handle those guys, then I think you're going to be fine. And I think they're I told somebody the other day, I think Mike Carter could take me and 4 of my frat brothers from college and win with us. But I'm not trying to. His job's not easy, and he does a great job. But they will be fine. But if you can come out of that first game feeling good about them, then I think you could really have a good offensive line. Because they're talented up front.
Yeah, they're young, and they'll build on into next year.
Well, and going back to what Gamble said, Gamble was here 2 weeks ago with us, and he said, okay, you had a bad play, forget it, move on. As long as you don't have consistent bad plays, they could be better. But if it's a series of bad plays, or if 3 of them make bad play, then it turns into problems. So
and for that situation that we're probably going to be faced with, it's probably best that we have a quarterback like Raylan.
Well, that was
because we used to call Collar an eraser, because teams would bring a blitz, or our guys might miss a block, something happened, broke down, he could make something happen. And I think, I'm not going to compare Raylan talent-wise to Collar, but ability, the way he does things is similar to Collar, that he can get out of that pocket, and that could help alleviate some of the early on struggles.
Yeah, with his breakaway speed too.
Well, and you saw that if you went to the scrimmage Thursday night, I think you saw that because Heber was blitzing every single down, and so when he was in there and he'd break containment, and he gets to the edge, then it's.
Of course, in scrimmage, they're blowing the whistle, when the
Sure.
guys
Let
get
him
close,
run,
but
sure.
he's going to escape. And the thing with Raylan, as opposed to Grant, is Grant Tisdale, the previous quarterback, went to Ole Miss. Raylan's a much more heads-up scrambler than I think Grant was. And so if he really does look for that open receiver, he can do a quick dump off, or he can just scoot around the corner and make some good yardage.
Well, I know for a fact that is a concern of Cedar Hills is trying to contain him along with Manning back there. I mean, I think both defensive coordinators, I wouldn't want to be either one of them next Friday night because they both are going to be up to their neck in alligators there, trying to, because there's speed and explosiveness all over the field for both offenses.
And we were shocked last year. We asked some of the players, who's the fastest guy on the team? And most every one of them said Selden Manning. And it just does not look like it. One, he's lumbering that knee brace on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the most, fluid running motion. But you go back and look at some of those plays last year, and as safeties are converging, they go, we didn't have the right angle. And he's wrong. And he just does. But he's definitely, he's been on the Allen radar since 7th grade. Everybody's known about Sheldon Manning, and hopefully he can keep, he's had a couple of injuries, so for him just to have a healthy senior year would be just great for him and his family.
Right.
He's worked really hard coming back from those injuries.
Absolutely.
But it just doesn't look like he's the fastest guy on the team, so whether that's...
So teams should really underestimate him. They
so
should
hopefully their safeties take bad angles because it doesn't look like he's moving that fast. But
we got a good set of receivers, so too. The green kids and
Surefield
sticky fingers. Catch anything anywhere close to them.
Right.
It's really great.
Yeah, like I say, the skill positions on the offense are set, and I don't think there's any much concern there. And there's some depth at wide receiver too. The scrimmage showed that the other night, and we saw a lot of that. You get to the defensive side of the ball, and you got one returning starter. Now you do have Magic Man Corey Kane running that, and we've been through this. We've been together long enough that we've seen this cycle where you're like, oh man, you lost Christian Sam, you lost Tay Evans, and Zach Bishop.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
and Dallas George shows up.
Corey
You end up
Kane
with just
pulls it out of the hat, and our boy Elijah, we're giving you a shout out, brother. Moving over from the offensive side of the ball.
95 Elijah Fisher.
And I think we got one other thing Allen might be able to boast this year.
What's that?
How many other teams? Now, I didn't get to go to scrimmage the other night, so I don't know for sure. But how many other teams are going to have a defensive lineman holding for kicks?
I said that to David the other night. I said, how many teams have their starting defensive end being the holder on kicks?
So
Fisher
it's
just
a true
does it all,
testament to his athleticism.
He's great.
Usually you ensure that job to the guy with the best hands.
Sure hands,
Right, exactly. But there is a deep rotation on the defensive line. And the thing that gives me, and I don't know about the rest of y'all, a little bit of comfort is because Allen is Allen, a lot of those guys have played a lot, even though they weren't starters.
Right.
The ones that are seniors.
They get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, and so it's not like they haven't been out on the field before. The offensive line's a little different story, but the defensive line, you've heard those names.
It's always been systematically Allen. You just go take care of your job. Yep. If your job is the A gap, then that's your job. And that's, gap discipline. We don't fly around like, make some of the big hits and flashy plays like, I'll say, some Houston teams we faced and stuff like that. High tower, and it bit them. But, that's the thing that gives me comfort also is these kids know what their job is. And it's going to be sound, whether it looks beautiful or not, it'll be sound defense until they, and the rotation thing, and we've talked about this a million times. It just creates competition, and you know that hey, I've got to do my job because tomorrow we're going to be talked about on the film session.
Oh, yeah.
And if I'm out of position, that's what I'm going to get talked about. Not the play that I made; it's the time I wasn't there. So they know. So.
Well, you mentioned systematic, and I think, I go to a lot of football practices, obviously, after doing this for 20 years. And I think the biggest takeaway from going to an Allen football practice is, I don't care if it's the fourth string kid making the mistake, no mistake just gets passed over. Now, you go to a lot of football practices and a kid will step up, make a mistake, and he goes back to the back of the line, and the next kid runs the drill. Not here. I mean, nobody gets to make a mistake that goes uncorrected. And they're just so well coached that I think that's how you can have 10 new starters and feel like, most schools, you have 10 new starters, it's going to be a disaster.
Well,
and that's not that way here. I mean, they're just too well coached.
And I think the reason for that is because of the whole next man up thing. Is you don't know when you're going to be that next man up, and the coaches, they're like you said, they're not going to let that guy slide because, hey, 2 injuries from now, you could be the guy that's in there, and they're going to expect you to do your job the best you can. And first thing, you've got to be prepared, and they, like you said, it doesn't go, unnoticed when.
Right.
My favorite Gamble pregame speech: "Do your job."
Yeah,
that's it. I mean,
it doesn't get much simpler than that,
Well, I was at the stadium last year, on Saturday morning, getting ready for the Lovejoy game on Saturday night, and they're out there working out. And I'm telling you, if you did, I knew they won 40-0, but if you were new and you came in, you'd have thought, they got beat 40-0 last night, because he was, he's on them. I mean, even the morning after, he drives them, and they're coached hard, and I think that's great. I think that's really good.
Yeah, don't overlook anything in a victory that you wouldn't in a loss.
Right.
That's
And Gamble is very much a one game at a time coach. I mean, you can't get him to talk. We tried. You cannot get him to talk past anything other than the game up. And so a 40-0 win on Friday night is gone to him Saturday morning. It's next
Getting ready
week.
for the next,
And all the mistakes we made in a 40-0 win, he's already started correcting them on Saturday morning. So that, like you say, coaching goes a long way in dealing with kids, especially, because kids do stupid things. Not that adults don't either. But
You mean 16, 17-year-olds don't do what you tell them
I
to?
just say that Gibson always said the front lobotomy, or this not lobotomy, the front lobe is not developed until you're 25 or 26, and they just act like it. So, but yeah, it's they've definitely got a challenge, and it'll be 2 weeks in a row, and like I say, a lot of speed, because Dickinson will bring that too. I mean, there's a lot of talent on that team. They were a district champion and won a couple of rounds in the playoffs last year. So you got back-to-back weeks of good challenges for these guys. So I know the kids are looking forward to it, and I know, again, get your tickets. And then again, Saturday night at the stadium, you've got Lovejoy and Colleyville Heritage, which should be another good game. I don't know what's Lovejoy going to do like this year. I drive by the school every day, but I honestly don't pay attention to what's going on.
They had a really good scrimmage. I think they're going to be really good offensively. They lost. You lose a quarterback, Carson Collins, that had been there for 3 years, but the kid that's taken over for him started at safety for them last year, and he's just one of those kids that wherever you put him, he's gonna be an all-district kid, and he's throughout the 7-on-7. I mean, he can throw it, he can run. They've got receivers like they always do. Got a really good offensive line. Defensively, they're really solid this year, I think. So they're definitely going to be a playoff team. And the interesting thing about getting to know Colleyville Heritage this year is the colors are the same, but the programs couldn't. I've never had two programs I thought were more identical. They are a mirror image in the way they're coached, the way the kids, and Colleyville Heritage is really good as well. That should be a great game on Saturday night.
They dropped down to 5A, or they?
Well, 2 years,
The last redistricting.
Yes.
Okay.
They
They just
dropped down.
remodeled their stadium too this last year.
Oh yeah.
But they are really strong, and Lovejoy trounced Frisco Centennial the other night.
Yeah.
They knocked them around, and I mean that game. The Cedar Hill Allen game gets built up and for good reason. But don't sleep on that Saturday game. That could really be it should be a great matchup too, and particularly offensively. I mean, both of those teams are going to be able to.
Is that a 7 o'clock start too?
It's 7 o'clock start.
Yeah, and I actually like that better because the afternoon game on a Saturday was harder for me to kind of justify,
Yes.
getting out of the honeydews and going to see. But I'm much
Definitely
more
gonna
likely to go
go to
see a
this
night
one.
game on Saturday, so that I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we kind of got forced into not forced into it, but when we used to do the Saturday back-to-back games,
Yeah,
it was, I think it was Garland and Allen maybe.
we did a couple
It
of
is
SMU.
Or it was Allen
and
and Cedar Hill maybe, but I went down.
Yeah.
I was down in the tunnel at halftime. There were 8 kids getting IVs. I just thought, I was driving home thinking, one of these Saturdays we're going to have a fan or a kid have a heat stroke out here, and it's going to be our fault because we shouldn't have kids playing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we made the change to say, let's just go Friday night, Saturday night. And this weekend it's for game time. It could get down into the 70s.
Yeah.
So
92 is the high on Friday, so
Isn't it supposed to be raining?
20% chance on Friday.
Let it flood.
20%.
We're
Bring
used
it
to
on.
that.
Bring it on.
Yeah, we got experience.
We talked
in
about that.
Yeah, plenty of that last year.
You've been kind of quiet.
Yeah, well,
That's unusual.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have that much intellectual stuff to add to the conversation. And that's usually Nolan's job. So I didn't want to take his place while he wasn't here. So yeah.
Thank you.
Really?
Appreciate that.
Really? Okay, you can go back
Kris?
to being quiet.
Right, your name's Kris.
If you're not here, you're subject to abuse.
Right.
And Nolan is not here this
I
morning.
hadn't missed it
Yeah,
one
you
at
know,
all.
You don't miss
Why
a
you show up.
podcast. And since I'm the one that does them, I don't miss
I don't miss a Friday game. I don't miss tailgate.
Right.
Just don't miss
Gotta
it.
be there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Alan, you got anything? How's travel, man?
Too much.
Hey, maybe we shouldn't do it on the air, but you sent a text to us a couple of weeks ago and said you just got done with the FBI, that you had someone get punched on one of your flights.
Oh man, I
What's up
did.
with that?
I got punched.
You got punched?
Yeah, by a lady.
Seriously?
Yeah.
We hadn't talked to you about this yet.
Yeah.
You got any teeth?
No, I mean she went for the backhand thing, and if I wouldn't have turned, it would have nailed me right in the face.
Seriously?
Drunk women with full of Botox. It's like the worst thing can happen.
Because that was in first class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But
there you
and I wasn't doing anything. That was the bad thing. But yeah, so the FBI, and they dragged her off and they hauled her off, handcuffed through customs, and the very last cut. We're 3 hours late, so it's 11:30 at night, and we're coming through, and the customs guy goes, "Okay, who got hit?" And I was like, "We won't have to worry about her again."
I did.
They dragged her through. Yeah, it wasn't a good deal.
Dang.
Wow.
She'll have a lot of litigation to go through.
Yeah, that's tough. Got to behave when you're on an airplane.
Yeah,
that ain't.
You really want to be on the radar. Mess up on an airplane
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
That's
glad
for sure.
you're okay, man.
Yeah, I was able to get through it.
No PTSD.
There's a little bit of it.
Well, this Friday also is our third annual staff appreciation lunch. The Balding Eagles will provide for the teachers in the central office
Down at Blue?
at Blue from 11:30 to 1:30. If you're a teacher, an admin, a SRO, anybody associated with the high school or central office,
Athletic office, come over.
feel free.
Yeah, it'd be
Mark?
nice to see y'all.
Or
Yeah.
as far as prep, or I'm not going to. My work schedule's not going to allow me to be there.
Uh-huh.
So is it going to be Wednesday night? Where at First United or at Brandon's or
Yeah,
where
First
we're doing
United.
the prep
First United
at?
Methodist Church, yes, sir.
So
We'll be cutting the beef.
If you don't have anything to do and you have knife skills,
Yeah,
come join us
We
or
got
join
about
these guys.
1,000 pounds of brisket to get
Trim
ready
up and get ready.
for that on
And
Friday. so-
Brandon will give you a crash course on how to get it ready, so
Yeah.
don't feel intimidated.
So we look forward to that, and we've had a lot of good response already. People are excited about that. In fact, Jared told us the other night at the scrimmage that they cooked burgers for the teachers a couple of weeks ago, and some of the teachers came up to, does this mean the Balding Eagles aren't feeding us in a couple of weeks? He goes, well, we haven't heard from them, but he just hadn't heard. But we've been working behind the scenes on this. But we look forward to that. It's fun for us, and come and get a free meal and chat with us, and we'll tell you how much we appreciate all you do for the kids in this district. So that'll be a fun time. And then everybody, Friday night, 7 o'clock, Cedar Hill out and Landry Classic. Year 20. If you haven't got a ticket, go get one. And helps give some kids some scholarships for college, because I can tell you, like Kris said, he's got 2 in college. I've got 2 in college. I know what it costs, and it's not it's not cheap anymore. And that anything can help, and look forward to that. Kris, thanks for coming out. We appreciate you being here.
Appreciate this.
Bringing the trophy, that's always fun to see.
Letting us keep it. That's great.
Yeah, we'll bring it back Friday night. We'll have it for you.
We'll all sign the football.
Yeah, right. We can do that. That'd be great. So, anybody got anything else? No.
Just come by the flags and say hi.
Yeah.
All you Cedar Hill people.
We actually start tailgating at 7 in the morning on Friday. We're going to be a little busy in the morning with lunch and everything, but we'll be back over there around 2 o'clock, and come say hello, hang out with us. We'll be there till it's over. So,
Having fun, hanging out, chilling, talking football.
that's it.
In front
Football's
of
here.
in front of the athletic facility.
College football starts today. Florida and Miami later this afternoon. So that's where I'll be.
All right.
All right, guys. Until next time, it's over, and we're out.